And what's going on, guys? This is the Club of the Man 1993 coming at you for another live review. I'm going to review this week's episode of NXT, the November 8th, 2017 edition of NXT, which of course took place at Full Sail University. Overall, this episode was a strong episode. I didn't think it was the strongest, though, for like a show 2 weeks before TakeOver War Games. It was still good, but it was a little bit more like a recap show and like some talent getting put over with like some few squash matches, just doing that, which again, nothing wrong with that. It just wasn't like a like classic show like I'm gonna remember forever. We did have a good main event though, so it caused me to give this grade a little bit higher of a grade than I was going to give it at first. But let's get right into it then. We started off with some video packages about last week's main event announcing the TakeOver War Games match, which is the Triple Threat War Games match, which we're going to get for that for the first time in 20 years. And then we had a match. It was Heavy Machinery. We haven't seen them for a while, taking on the jobbing team of Chris Payne and Sean Maluta. And of course, Heavy Machinery just did its job, squashing them and getting the win after a couple elbow drops, and just a good way to put them over as they're another upcoming team, which I feel like their push may have been slowed down just a little bit with the arrival of the Undisputed Era, because I really thought it was going to be Heavy Machinery being the ones who dethroned AOP, like probably around this time I thought it was going to happen. But with Undisputed Era, right, I feel like they may have gotten in their way a little bit, but it's okay. Heavy Machinery is still okay. They're going to be, I can see them being tag team champions sometime next year as well. So we'll see what continues on there, but it was a good squash match for Heavy Machinery. We then had Christy St. Cloud interviewing Ember Moon backstage, just pretty much just responding up to Mercedes Martinez's comments about her not winning a big one. And Moon says that Mercedes can meet her in the ring next week and she'll prove her wrong pretty much. But that's what's going to happen is next week we are going to get a match between Ember Moon and Mercedes Martinez, who participated in the Mae Young Classic. I believe that's going to be a good way to probably give Ember some momentum going into the NXT TakeOver War Games Fatal 4-Way for the vacated Women's Championship, since Asuka vacated it going up to the main roster. Again, that match is still pretty much up for grabs. Like, I have no clue who's going to win that match. I mean, people thought Kairi Sane was a favorite to win since she won the Mae Young Classic, but Ember Moon has a case as well. Peyton Royce wouldn't surprise me, but I think she's like the least, has the lowest, the highest odds. Well, however I can think of it now, to say it the right way, but I think she's the one who's the least likely to win it. And Nikki Cross, also with the momentum she's been getting lately as well, I think she is probably like up there as well. So I'd say any of those three. I mean, Peyton Royce, I'll be okay with it, but I feel like she's like just like the fourth contestant in there. But we'll see what happens when it comes to TakeOver War Games next Saturday night, November 18th, which I will be watching, and I will mostly do a live review of as well. We then had, speaking of which, we had Kairi Sane taking on Peyton Royce's best friend, Billie Kay. And she won the match with the insane elbow drop. Peyton Royce did jump on the apron to attempt a distraction during the match, but but it didn't help it much as Kairi was able to overcome, the odds and win the match. So just a way to give her more momentum going in there. So we'll see what happens. Again, maybe we'll get some type of, brawl or some between the 40s women or stay down next week with Ember's match against Mercedes. So we'll see that. And then we had a backstage segment with William Regal in his office. And then Cassius Ohno comes in. And he comes in and says he's had his ups and downs since returning to NXT, but he's been firing on all cylinders since winning his feud with Hideo Itami. And he's ready to get back in a championship mix. But how he can do that, he has an idea. At TakeOver Houston, he wants to battle Lars Sullivan. And Real double checks with him, and he's like, I want to do this. So then he makes the match official. So we are getting a match with Cassius Ohno and Lars Sullivan. It should be a good match. I'm glad we're finally seeing Cassius Ohno getting on the card. Besides the TakeOver Orlando match he had when he replaced No Way Jose, in the 8-man mixed tag match against Sanity. I'm glad he's getting like a singles match though on pay-per-view. Finally, I mean, Lars Sullivan also is an upcoming talent, and they both haven't lost a match yet, so it'll be a good way to give one of these guys momentum. Hopefully, they at least do well to make both look strong, which I'm sure will happen, and maybe get Ono or someone else close to the NXT title picture. We'll see what happens. So, speaking of which, title picture also, I believe it was announced yesterday that it was made official that at Takeover War Games, Pete Dunne will defend his United Kingdom Championship against Johnny Gargano. That's a very interesting match. I'd like to see that match, and who knows, will Johnny come out on top? I don't think so. I think Pete's probably going to keep the championship, but again, they can surprise us because I really want like the idea I pitched last week of having Almas win the title at Takeover War Games, and then Johnny Gargano takes it off of him at Takeover Philadelphia, since he's had his issues with Almas not able to get the one up him, and he finally gets it here, and then that'll set up for the main event of Takeover New Orleans between him and Tommaso Ciampa with the NXT title on the line, because as I keep saying, nothing's going to outbeat that match. When it happens, it needs to be the main event. But again, you can leave your thoughts on that if you want. And then we had a video package of the history of the War Games. Dustin Rhodes, Goldust, Arn Anderson, Booker T, all talked about the brutality of it. Kind of helped me out a little bit because, again, I've never seen a War Games match, but I'm so interested to see what goes down when it happens at TakeOver War Games as well, involving Sanity, AOP, and Roderick Strong, which still think it's a little bit of a weird team, but I'll take it. And the Undisputed Era. I feel like that's going to be a match that's really going to help over the Undisputed Era at least, but we'll see what happens when we get there, which I feel like also that should be the main event of the show. Hopefully it is, but again, we'll see what happens. Not going to complain because NXT always still puts on good products. We then had an interview with Zelina Vega and Andrade Cien Almas talking about their strategy, and she says that no one's going to get to know her plans but Almas. And then the interview wants to ask Almas about their relationship, but then she cuts him off, saying they have a past, but it's no one's business. It's pretty much want to keep everything quiet. But pretty much just saying the same thing. Like, the people got a few wins off of Almas before Vega came along, but ever since she came along, he's been more focused, and now it's leading him to, he's had a couple good victories over Johnny Gargano, and he's leading him to to a shot at the NXT Championship as well. Andrade vows that to win the title and threatens McIntyre in English and Spanish to close out the segment pretty much, and it's announced that next week McIntyre wants to face Almas man-to-man before the match happens, so that's probably going to be the closing moments of the show next week. Maybe, I don't know, we'll see. There could be someone else with them, Undisputed Era, Sanity, and AOP and Roderick Strong. That we kind of had that tonight, but we'll see what happens next week with that, and see how the match goes down at NXT TakeOver War Games. We then had a match with the Velveteen Dream taking on Cesar Bononi. Cesar Bononi, I feel, is not a complete squash match because he's been known to have that victory over Almas in his debut. But this pretty much was a squash match for Velveteen Dream. He does win. He didn't use the Purple Rainmaker. He used a cartwheel-style Death Valley bomb. It was that he used to defeat Bononi. It was just a quick squash match. I'm still very impressed with the Velveteen Dream, and I think, for being a guy like 6'2", 227 pounds, I think that's his height and weight. He can move pretty quickly. Kind of moves like a bigger cruiserweight, in my opinion. I'm looking forward to this feud in this match with Aleister Black. I just still would have liked to have seen him maybe face a few more, more talented guys, and not just all these low card guys too. Because honestly, at this point, I love Aleister Black. I'm a huge fan of him, but I feel like that the Dream might need this win more than Aleister. Aleister will be okay. He's developed enough. I think the Velveteen Dream could use the victory here more than Aleister Black. But if Aleister wins, I won't be upset. It's just a weird pairing because I haven't seen the Dream. Well, before he became the Velveteen Dream, he was Patrick Clark. He did have a few, matches against some more upper card talents. But now he's facing a lot of low talents. It's just squash matches putting him over. It'd be nice to have seen him, face a couple more, higher up talents. But we'll see what happens with their match at TakeOver War Games. After the match, he got on the mic and said, told that Aleister Black, He got what he wanted. Now he's on. Now Black has the dream on his mind, and at War Games he will say his name, as he's been wanting him to get him to say this whole time. And then we had a segment involving Ruby Riott, who apparently has been dealing with an ankle injury. Seems like kayfabe. Maybe not be, but it seems like it's kind of kayfabe. But injury she suffered in the triple threat qualifying match. It was her, Sonya Deville, and Ember Moon's match. That Ember Moon won, hitting that sick-looking Eclipse on Sonya Deville while she had Ruby Riott in that ankle lock. She got to kick out. She got to move Deville off to the side, but Ruby was already hurting from that ankle lock, so Ember was able to roll up for the victory. And then in the segment, Sonya Deville comes in and says how you didn't tap out the ankle lock and you got injured. Just trying to make her feel bad for that Sonya didn't win the match, and you got injured. You didn't tap. You didn't tap out. The Ruby's like, we could have just broke my ankle. And so, she wants to say, you were just making excuses as to, everything but yourself as to why you didn't win that match. So once this ankle is healed, which I've told you 2 more weeks, we get in the ring and decide who's the real, victory here, whose fault it really is. So we're going to probably get a match, probably the first episode of NXT after TakeOver War Games. So, we'll see what happens there. Should be a good match as well, pretty fresh. And then we had another backstage promo with the Street Profits, trying to bring out some swagger heading into their merch cups and pass things by. And then a dry cleaner comes by having a suit for Tino Sabatelli. And but Montez Ford says, I'm Tino Sabatelli, and he takes the suit, and they're checking out. But then Sabatelli and Riddick Moss come around and take it from them and say it is like a $5,000 suit, and don't touch their stuff. And they said, well, let's just sell this in the ring then. And Moss accepts. They have been teasing to have a match between these two. So I don't know if we're gonna get this match next week or the following week, but there's gonna be a match coming up for these two upcoming teams. I like both these teams, especially the Street Profits. So I look forward to seeing that match happening. And then we have our main event. It was Roderick Strong taking on Adam Cole. This match came about because last week, it seemed that Roderick Strong first was joining the Undisputed Era, but then he turned on them and attacked them, and that's what caused him to form the alliance with the Authors of Pain. So that's why he's teamed up with them in the War Games match. The match I thought was good. It was not 5-star and like that. I do think these two could have a really good match on pay-per-view Sunday, even if it's for the NXT Championship or even on the main roster for another championship. I think it could be a really good match, but it definitely shows that this was just a table setting, showing what these two can do, and we'll see more from them down the line in the future. They mixed very well. I do like this match though a lot better because I was okay with the match that Adam Cole had against Eric Young, but I didn't think it was as good as I wanted it to be. I felt it was a little average. But this match I thought was pretty strong between these two, no pun intended. However, the match ended with Roderick Strong winning by disqualification when Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly ran in and pulled Roderick out, and they started beating him down. And then Authors of Pain came in to cover Roddy's back, and then Sandy came in from the crowd, and they all just had a melee, brawling out as how we've seen all these guys brawling enough since TakeOver Brooklyn 3. And then we had it all ended though with Roderick Strong doing a suplex on Adam Cole into the pile, and it just knocked everyone over. That's how we go off the air, showing that it's going to be a legit war where it comes to War Games. So that is it, guys. That is pretty much my thoughts on this week's episode of NXT. I'm going to try to do my review for WrestleMania 16 tonight. Hopefully get that up within the next couple hours. If not, sometime tomorrow morning. I got to watch that today. I will get to watch WrestleMania 17 hopefully over the next couple days as well. To continue on that series as well. But as far as giving the grade for this show, I wasn't going to show a B- at first, but then I still really like that main event. And again, most of the stuff that happened, it was good, but it was astronomically awesome. Like this is supposed to average stuff, just a lot of like recaps or interviews and just a lot of younger talent put over. So which was good, but again, it wasn't like the strongest. But I'm with that main event in there, everything else seemed to go pretty well. I'm gonna give this show a B, a solid B tonight for this week's episode of NXT. What grade would you give NXT? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. And as always, please click that like and subscribe for more content on this channel. Again, I will most likely the next few videos is going to be up or some WrestleMania retro reviews, so I'll get those taken care of, and then I'll be back up here live again next week for Raw, SmackDown, NXT. Top 10 topics will be next week as well for Survivor Series as well, so we'll take care of that. I kind of do want to get a MLB awards predictions video, and sometime maybe I'll do that tomorrow, Friday. Maybe I'll do that Friday. Maybe I'm not sure yet. We'll see what happens there. But thank you again. I can't even talk. It's been a rough week. Thank you again, guys, for tuning in. Like always, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at TheManAirboy93, and I'm checking out. I'll see you guys later. Have a good night.